stuck in life, you should aspire for more. Connect with others who desire to aspire for more. Reach for your goals. When you do, you allow yourself to aspire for more. Dr. Tammy is here to help you aspire for more. Aspire for more.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of Journey Toward More, a podcast where we discuss topics to help you manifest more. More of what is for you, more of what you desire, more of what is aligned with who you are, and more of what honors you on your journey toward more. I am your host, Dr. Tammy Francis, better known as Dr. Tammy, the Catalyst. I am a strategist and educator, consultant, author, and speaker. I am a futurist, so we'll talk about that in another episode. I am here to help you on your journey toward more, while also sharing mine. And so this particular podcast, I go into little areas of my life and share them with you, which most of the time, I will say this will probably be the only place you'll hear it. So for those of you who are following my podcast, thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting my work and my words. So since I am in the work of empowering and equipping others, and really this holistic approach to learning and development, and helping you during your transition and growth, today I started thinking about mine. So today's episode will be probably slightly longer, slightly different. We'll see how it goes, because there are a couple of stories I want to share with you. I want to set this up so it makes sense. So as you apply it to your life on your journey toward more, you'll know what I'm talking about and what I mean, because it requires some work. So if you don't know, today is January 26th at the time of this recording, 2024. And today is the day that the basketball player, Hall of Famer, Kobe Bryant, passed away. It was in an airplane crash. And so it's been about 4 years. I think it happened in 2020. And I listen to podcasts. So not only do I do this, I listen to other podcasts. And one of the podcasts I listen to is the School of Greatness, because y'all know, not only am I helping us and our community get there, personally, I like hearing other perspectives. I like hearing other people talk about what does that mean what does greatness means? Because I know greatness is in my DNA, it's in my blood. So how do I embrace it, and how do I use it on my journey toward more? And so I listen to others, right? Just like you should have other coaches and other people on your team in this work. I do too. And so one of the podcasts I listen to is the School of Greatness. And that particular podcast today, he shared a interview in remembrance of Kobe Bryant, one of the last interviews he had with him, and some never before sound bites / clips. I also think there's a video to go with it, but I listened to the audio podcast, so I call it sound bites because it was little clips. But one of the things that I know as well, we all have our own philosophy, and we have our own drive, or things that drive us in the things that we do. And so one of the things that this particular podcast was addressing, it was around the time, I guess the interview was around the time when Kobe Bryant's book came out, Mambo Mentality. And he was, of course, that was part of the interview, right? Was promo for the book. But of course, he goes into that mentality. And so I'm listening to the podcast. I'm listening to, some of the things that I had heard Kobe say when he was alive, right? It was things that was just a part of his personality and the way he was. And so Mambo Mentality, according to him, is just trying to be better every day, right? So Kobe thinks it's just this idea of just trying to be a better version of yourself. And in its simplest form is trying to get better at whatever you're doing. So whatever it is you are doing that you are committed to, that you just better at it every day. And you keep trying to get better. And so it's more of an approach to things. And it's this idea that you attack what's in front of you with purpose and passion. So some of you who've been following me a while, you know why I'm chuckling a little bit, because that is definitely my philosophy. That's part of my, you may even call it some of the things that I say. It's almost a mantra the way I say it so often. But to attack whatever's in front of you with passion and purpose, without fear, doubt, and without the desire to quit. And of course, so I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about, and of course, he's giving examples in his life, waking up at 4 a.m., getting up before other people, doing more than other people, like just doing the extra things to be greater the next day. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, like, what's my mentality? What is that philosophy that I have? Like at the core. Now, of course, we all have those things we rattle off. We have our little elevator pitch and those things we rattle off. But I think you really know what your philosophy is and your mentality is when it's lived out through your actions, when it's lived out through your lived experiences, when it is presented in such a way that it permeates everything that you do, everything that you touch, everything that you think about. It's underlying in there. Even when you think about things and you try to be critical, a critical thinker about things, it comes out, right? So I think it's at the core. So it's not just those things we say because it sounds pretty, it's great words. It's those things that if you just did something without thinking, it would come through. So I started thinking about that as I was listening to the interview, and I was listening to the podcaster. Oh my goodness, I should remember his name, but I don't at the moment. So maybe it'll come to me in just a moment. But I was just thinking about those things. Lewis Howes, I think that's his name. When they were doing this interview, I'm thinking about that, and I'm just constantly thinking, and I'm listening. It's like an hour, and it's a little more than an hour interview. And so if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's really good to hear, like, it's Kobe's words. It's not just people quoting and things that people say about. And then, of course, on the other hand, we got people who are currently living, right, who have their own philosophy. A lot around Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, and what he believes about confidence and some of those things. And you get his philosophy and what he believes through his sound bites and the things that he says, right, to his players. So I just started thinking about mine. And for some reason, and I'm going to make sure I share this with her so she can hear me talk about her, because she may have something different to say. She may have a whole different reason, but I'm going to give it to you from my perspective and what I thought. So at one point in my life, I was really into fitness and working out and doing that thing. And I still am, but I was actually a fitness instructor. I was actually working really towards some really lofty goals and doing those things. And I was doing yoga, Pilates, Zumba. I was, of course, weights, and those are always a part of my workout. But at that time, I was hardcore, like several times a day in the gym, like several times a day in a class, like 2 and 3 times. Like that was my day. If I wasn't teaching, I was attending. I not only taught my classes, but I attended classes. It was nonstop, right? And my Pilates instructor at the time, Tabitha, oh my goodness, love that lady. We've had some good times and good laughs. But she started calling me during that time as we were working out, and she was a great mentor and even a personal trainer of sorts. Because we would work out together, it wasn't in that capacity, but she was definitely, I worked out and we would talk about some of the fitness philosophies and things like that because we were, both instructors and just, going through that. But I remember working out with her and another gentleman who would attend the same classes regularly with us, Jesse, and she would call me Tambo. And it caught on. And she would always call me that. Some of the other people in the classes would call me that. If they didn't call me Tammy, they would call me Tambo. And that was my fitness instructor gym name, was Tambo, right? So it became a thing. And so for those of you who don't know, so let me just give you a little background. 1982, the first movie out of 5 films was Rambo. And Rambo was based on a novel, a 1972 novel by David Morrell. And I'm hoping I'm saying his name. It may be Morrell. But it was based on his novel. And the last one was actually, the 5th one was actually released in 2019. So you can see how they spanned over decades. And the main character was John Rambo. He was played by Sylvester Stallone. He was a veteran. He was superior in military skills. He used to fight corrupt police officers, enemy troops, cartel, just things like that. So in essence, he was a soldier. And I'm going to say this because it'll make sense to some of my philosophy if you look at some of my hashtags and things like that. But so later on, so I think it was kind of a combination of Tammy and Rambo. Let me finish this story first before I add this other thought. It was a kind of a combination from Rambo and Tambo, like, because superior, like, skills, right? That idea. And so of course, and then I guess maybe 90s, we had Master P with No Limit Soldier. So I think that's interesting because my philosophy now, I have the shirt, I am limitless. A lot of my philosophy, even if I don't use that word, is about, for a while in around 2020, I would always say limitless, limitless, limitless. But now I say the same thing, but I use different, terminology, different words, different phrasing. But it's interesting that even when I think about soldier, and I made that connection with Master P, No Limit Soldier, like, even though he called his crew that may be me in a way, not part of his crew, but a No Limit Soldier, because I have this idea of limitless. So when we're thinking about things, this was a time when my actions really spoke for my belief because I would do, right? It was in the early days before motherhood and into the early days of motherhood. So it was during that time of just worrying about me and not having to worry about children. And then when I had children, your body changes. So working through those things, the before, the during, the after. And I just remember at that time, when she gave me the name Tambo, I was working out. Like I say, through those 3 phases, before, during, and after children. I was in school. I was in a doctoral program, so that's how I'm Dr. Tammy. I was in the midst of that program, and I was working full time as a school teacher, a high school teacher. And with everything that I did at that time, it was this idea that I had to devote superior skill. I had to do my best, or as Kobe like say, just try to be better every day, the Mambo mentality. I had to kind of be this warrior soldier, like I was going up against so many things that could have stopped me at any point, but I had to keep going. I even, when I moved here around 2004, during this same time, during all this time, like right before I got the name, but around the same time, I remember like just devoted to making sure my students excelled, and not just on standardized tests, but also just in life and the content, and just being better readers and writers and speakers and listeners and all of that. So it was just this idea. And so tenacious always came up, right? So through this idea of being Tambo, which was this play on Rambo, and this idea of how I had to be persistent despite all the roadblocks, all the challenges, all of those things. Tenacious. So this idea of tenacity, right? So let's talk about tenacious, and then I'll bring it all together. So tenacious, not readily relinquishing a positive position. Not readily relinquishing a position, principle, or course of action. Determined. It's persisting in the existence, not easily dispelled. It's continuing in spite of difficulty, opposition, or failure. It's this idea of not easily giving up. It's not or going away or making something, just forgetting about something. It's this idea of being, and some synonyms for tenacious and tenacity. Purposeful. Notice some of these things. When people describe me as tenacious, and they started doing that, I had this idea of Tambo on one side, then I had tenacious on the other side. But listen to some of these synonyms for those of you that follow me. If you don't follow me, just hang on. You'll see all these things and you'll know that I'm right. I'll tell on myself. Steadfast. And when I think about steadfast, I think about unmovable. Strong-willed. So if anyone knows about my celebrations for my birthday, stubborn, tireless, diligent, persevering. So just take a deep breath right there, right? And it's interesting that those are the words that describe tenacious. So when I started thinking about this idea, okay, Kobe, the Mambo mentality, we all have a philosophy. What is my philosophy? What is my mentality? What is the things that my actions say about me? And then it hit me. Like even when Tabitha gave me that name, she recognized something in me that I didn't see in myself. She recognized this idea of what people say now, or what I hear people say, talking about basketball, going hard in the paint, right? It's really this idea of pushing through and doing that. And then when, with Tammy, people always look for something like alliteration is really popular. And I like language, so I'm okay with that. But alliteration is popular, and this idea of tenacity. So Tambo Tenacity. Most people would say it with Tammy. They would say Tammy, tenacious Tammy, whatever. But I just thought about it. Those two words really describe who I am at my core. Those are not the only two words, but when I think about my philosophy and how I approach things and how I go, and when I get discouraged, because it happens, I'm not always, we try to be always in the zone, but there are things that knock the air out of our lungs and breath out of our chest. It happens. And so when I look at the times when I bounce back and I recover from some of those things. Those two words tend to rise to the top when I think about all the things and the threads and the patterns that are in my life. I have to acknowledge that I'm built different. It's always been a pattern and consistent for me to be both those things, right? What Tambo represents, what tenacious is by definition. And it's typically positive. It's typically seen in a positive light, this idea of persisting, pushing through. And I realize I'm just built this way. This is just how I'm built. So I must embrace who I am and how I am. And I think when I started, at some point, I started Tambo Fitness when I was doing more of my personal training and consulting and contract work, rather around fitness, Zumba, Pilates, yoga, and such, that I embraced Tambo, and that became part of my brand. So needless to say, this episode is probably going to bring that right back. You'll probably see more of it. And those of you listening to this podcast will know why. So I'm just going to encourage you. And I know it was a weird way. So one, you're learning how my brain works, like how listening to that podcast about Kobe and Mambo Mentality, how that led me to really uncovering and discovering something about myself that has been a journey since about 2005 or 6, right? 2007. Definitely around 2009, I think is around the time when, maybe 2008, when Tabitha gave me that name. And it's been a while, y'all. So it's been more than 10 years. It's been almost 15 years. It's been more than 15 years, actually. That I have had that name, right? That has been one of my, I guess my alter ego. Beyonce has hers, and I guess that's mine. And the other part of me, but of course it's probably very true. And even when I'm Tammy, but I want you to think about that we all have a philosophy. We all have something that drives us. And sometimes we're not aware of it. It may be something that you're just built that way. You were made that way. You were created with that as a part of who you are. And we're not going to get into discussion first, nature versus nurture, but you may see pieces of both of those in who you are and how you approach things. How do you approach situations, things that are challenging, barriers, when times are good and you're on a roll? And what is that thing that drives you when you don't need anything to push you, but you keep going anyway, even though you're your own competition. You're just trying to be better tomorrow than you were today. What is that? And so, whatever that elevator pitch is, or whatever you would say when I first opened this podcast, pause. It's okay to write that down, but I really want you to think about it. Think about some of the major points in your life that required you to do something you didn't think you could do. Those times when it was really hard, confusing. Maybe it wasn't really like physically hard, but mentally it provided a challenge. Look for patterns. Look for patterns more so in the major areas of your life. So this is homework. Number 1, look for patterns in the major areas of your life. And y'all know, for me, it's faith. Whether you call it religion, spirituality, it's what you believe. So faith, finances, fitness, bringing it back around, family, and fun. Even those times when you're having fun, what makes you choose what you do? What makes you say that was fun versus another thing you do that's not fun when it was meant to be fun? Like all of that, like really go deep and write it down. Look at it and see what emerges, and see if you could figure out what is your philosophy, what is your true philosophy about life and how you approach those things in your life. What is your mentality? And just look at that. What is a constant that carries you through to positive places and through the tough times? What is that? What is that philosophy? What kind of mentality? What is your mindset during those times? And then number 2, I'm going to have you walk in your bathroom, or if you have a vanity, wherever you have a mirror where you can see your face, your head, maybe even your shoulders, because that tells you a little bit. But look in the mirror. Just look at yourself for 60 seconds. Just look. You may laugh at first. You may do that. But look at yourself and think of those same questions. What is my mentality? What is my philosophy? What is that constant that has been carrying me through to positive places and through the hard times, the tough times? And then 3, find your journal, find your goal poster, your vision board, wherever you put your goals for this quarter, for this year. Because this is after the 21st day, and we know research says after 21 days, most people who have made resolutions or have set goals have faltered on them, have stopped doing the work necessary to reach them. And so reach your goals. What do they say about you? What does your commitment to them, what does your commitment say about them, right? Because you may have been choosing goals that don't align with who you are and where you're going, based on your philosophy, based on your mentality, based on who you are. So I will say today has been an amazing day. It's been thoughtful and insightful, and I've been really thinking. And so I guess now, as the title of this podcast is called, Tambo Tenacity. So that's who I am. That's how I am. And I embrace that. So thank you, Kobe. Thank you, Lewis, School of Greatness. Thank you so much for sparking that reflection and that work today. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, there's several things that we have going on in our community. We have Morocco in May. So if you want to join us in Morocco for a retreat where we'll do more of this work, we'll actually do the work and the strategies together, as well as sightsee, have fun, and do some of those things on our list that are there. I invite you to join us. We'll be going May 13th through the 19th of 2024, and we'll be going every year. But whenever you're watching this, this is the next one coming up, May 13th through the 19th. And if you're interested, definitely go to my link tree, which is in the show notes. So check the show notes and click the link and check it out. The other thing that I'm working on is an anthology, The Power of Umoja. And that is the power of unity, and talking about we're stronger together. There's strength in numbers, and there's strength in community, collaboration, and connections. And if you're interested in being an author in that anthology and writing a chapter in that book, go to my link tree. You'll see a link where you can, join our Telegram community for the authors and those who are interested in being a part of the project. And you'll learn more about that particular project. So check out my link tree. That's the place to go for everything. And I encourage you to do that just to see what's going on, even if you just go and be nosy and see what's happening. Some of the other things going on, I have some speaking engagements. I have some things coming up, and I hope you will join me and find me in a city near you as I travel and speak. And if I can speak at your event, if I can speak in your whatever you're having, your conference, maybe if you have something where you'd like for me to share some of the strategies and things around purpose planning and preparing for the future, are helping you to reskill, upskill, and retool to help you in your transition and growth, let me know. You can definitely go to that same link tree. There is a speaker request where you can fill that out and we can make it happen. There are some other events on my calendar. There's some other events there. Check it out. I have causes that I support that you can definitely support and donate to. And they're 501c3s. And so you can definitely get the tax benefits around that as well. So stay with me, hang with me, and another episode will be shared soon. So make sure you download, like, comment, and rate the podcast, as well as share it with a friend. If you find someone who needs to revisit their Mambo mentality or create their own, like I have with Tambo Tenacity, share it with them. There's other episodes. I encourage you to listen to previous episodes. It's definitely the one before this one, episode 42, which is Grandma's Hands. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you being here. Make sure you get Reap More, Manifesting More, Reading as a Social Action, one of the books, and there's others to come in 2024. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day or weekend or week, afternoon, evening, whatever time of the day it is for you, whatever time of the week it is for you. I appreciate your support. Y'all take care. And remember to reap more on your journey toward more.
Stuck in life, you should aspire for more. Connect with others who desire to aspire for more. Reach for your goals. When you do, you allow yourself to aspire for more. Dr. Tammy is here to help you aspire for more. When you believe in yourself, anything is possible. Believe in yourself, you'll get more. You should aspire for more. Aspire for more. You should aspire for more. Should aspire for more. When you believe in yourself, anything is possible. Believe in yourself and get more. You should aspire for more.